The Battlefield series is one of the oldest, still ongoing first-person shooter series. For over 10 years, people have been enjoying the unique gameplay it brings to a genre that is screaming for it, and though the series has been doing incredibly well for such a long time, it's easy to say its biggest success is yet to come. With hardcore fans coming back every few years to buy Battlefield's new installments, and new people being introduced to this fascinating FPS series every single day, its history is quite an interesting one. But what exactly has been the cause that established all this? This is looking back at Battlefield. When developer DICE announced the first Battlefield game, Battlefield 1942, it surprised a lot of people. Up until that point, making pinball and a few racing games hadn't really given them attention, but this sure looked like an opportunity and it showed off. The first Battlefield game was a game loved by anyone who touched it. The concept was unique and amazingly well worked out, and the game in general was found to be one of the most fun experiences around. Battlefield felt like a real war simulator, with 12v12 battles on huge islands where players could feel part of a bigger whole and play a key role in leading their team to victory. It was hard to not get satisfied with an experience like it. The system was simple, there's multiple flags to capture, and doing so will decrease enemy tickets faster. Tickets are being used to respawn, so once your enemy is out of tickets, the game ends. But arguably the biggest element of Battlefield that makes it so exciting is its freedom. Pick from any class you like and choose any vehicle that suits you to help you in your battle, from jets to tanks to just being a normal foot soldier. It's all up to you, and everything is balanced out to make it fair to anyone. It was no surprise Battlefield 1942 did so well, with over 4 million copies sold, 2 expansions, and the standalone new installment called Battlefield Vietnam. A true sequel was inevitable. Battlefield 2 was released 3 years after the first one and was seen as a game to perfect the formula. It gave you that same feeling you had with Battlefield 1942 while incorporating new features that truly added to the experience. First of all, there was the addition of squad play. Teams were now divided in different squads, with a commander being able to assign targets and getting rewarded for accomplishing his assignments with a squad. But that wasn't all. The all-new award system made you want to keep playing, as you'd keep being awarded with medals or unlocking weapons or anything else that kept you wanting to play just one more match to experience your newly unlocked item. With 12 maps in total, the action always felt varied, and some of the maps like Strike at Karkand, Gulf of Oman and the renewed Wake Island are still being played on and seen as true classics within the series. Battlefield 2 accomplished the goal of perfecting the concept, and it left a lot of people to wonder what DICE would be up to next. It seemed the core sequel wouldn't be able to innovate in many new ways, so DICE would have to do something different. Well, it didn't take long for that question to be answered. The years to follow after the release of Battlefield 2 marked the years of new ideas for DICE. First of all, 2006 was the year of Battlefield 2142, the first entry in the series to be set in the future. But that wasn't the only game. In 2008, DICE finally released their newest game set in a brand new universe, Mirror's Edge. Though it sold below expectations, the game was received well overall and felt like a very refreshing take on the first-person genre. I personally found it to be one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in gaming, and the sequel has also been hinted at for years, making me think we won't have to wait long for an announcement. DICE also released a remake of the first Battlefield on consoles, this time called Battlefield 1943, which unexpectedly caused a lot of server issues in its first week. Then there were 2 new entries coming out in 2009 and 2011 called Battlefield Heroes and Play for Free, which introduced people to the free-to-play model type games EA has been trying to set up for the past years. Finally, DGS also introduced us to a brand new sub-series, Battlefield Bad Company. The Bad Company series is seen as quite different from the main series because of a few reasons. First of all, Bad Company was developed rather for consoles than for PC, which is what the main entries had been developed for. It also features a full single player campaign with actual characters and a story attached to it. Both campaigns in the 2 entries of the game were seen as great additions that managed to bring the freedom of play we were used to from Battlefield's multiplayer to the single player. Its cast of characters were also praised for the humor they brought to the story, which was a very welcome addition. Last but not least, DICE developed its all-new Frostbite engine. Frostbite was meant to bring the Battlefield experience to life even more, with its big focus on destructible environments, and it showed off. Both in single player and multiplayer, explosions were a big part and introduced a new strategic element to the game, which many people found to be very refreshing. All in all, the Bad Company series was seen as a great addition to the series as a whole, and a 3rd game seems to be on the horizon, which I can't say is a bad thing. Battlefield had always been seen as a unique experience that stood apart from everything else on the market, but for the past years a new franchise had taken over. Call of Duty was being widely accepted as the first-person shooter to play, and it was no surprise EA and DICE would want to change this. In February 2011, 6 years after the release of Battlefield 2, DICE finally revealed their biggest game yet, Battlefield 3. Developed on the all-new Frostbite 2 engine, the goal was clear. Battlefield 3 was meant to take over the FPS genre. With a marketing campaign consisting of a budget that went through the roof and the big competitor Modern Warfare 3 bringing nothing new to the table, everything seemed to be going perfect for EA. Trailers at E3 and Gamescom wowed and prepared us for both the epic single and multiplayer to come, and the anticipation was astonishing to see. September arrived and it was time for the multiplayer open beta, and that's where a lot went wrong because it wasn't a close representation of the final game. People were having server problems, the game did not run smoothly, and overall it was seen as very buggy. Now of course it was just a beta, but many people expected it to be close to the final product. I'm sure sales would have been higher if this mistake had not been made. When the game finally came out on October 25th, most of these problems proved not to be present in the final game. The multiplayer was what everyone had expected and did not disappoint in any way. With the amazing graphics on PC and even console versions, the immersiveness had never been at this level. 9 maps that were all very different from each other, a simplified class system while at the same time offering more advanced options, and dynamic events such as the Damavon Peak base jump made this game truly stand out from its earlier entries. Still, Battlefield 3 had its weak points too. The single player that was promised to be one hell of a roller coaster ride turned out to be mediocre at best. The campaign was far more linear than any Bad Company campaign we had seen before, and felt more like it was trying to copy Battlefield's big rival rather than offering a Battlefield-like experience. Then there was a co-op mode which was good, but offered far too little content with only 6 missions. Still, every Battlefield fan knew that it was the multiplayer that would never make you regret buying Battlefield 3, and it surely didn't. With 5 big map packs and a great deal of patches in the 1.5 years to come, Battlefield 3 once again delivered an experience that just cannot be found anywhere else. All in all, the Battlefield franchise has been one of the longest going and most respected first-person shooter series, and for good reason. With its unique gameplay and engaging experiences, the series has stood strong with the multiple installments in its already 10 years of existence. Looking at the future, I was initially a bit disappointed with the choice of bringing out Battlefield 4 straight after Battlefield 3. With a gap of 6 years between 2 and 3, I had hoped the jump between 3 and 4 would be huge again. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, but with the next generation consoles on our way, who knows what innovation it can still bring. Looking back at the previous 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if DICE will be able to pull off something that we once again won't see coming. Thanks a lot for watching.